Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Minister for advance sight of her statement. The Minister mentioned at the beginning the government's plans to bring forward a police reform white paper, announced from memory about a year ago. But there hasn't been a single sniff of that white paper since then. Perhaps you can tell us when we can expect it and why the government is so bereft of ideas. It has taken a year or more to publish that white paper. Now, Mr Speaker, today's statement about police and crime commissioners represents, in my view, a tinkering around the edges from a government which is failing on crime and policing. If you like, it is simply rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Because this government is failing, police numbers are falling. They fell by 1,300 during Labour's first year in office on a like-for-like March-to-March comparison. And not only are police numbers falling, they are continuing to fall and will drop even more this year. Crime under this government is surging. Shoplifting up by 13% in this government's first year to record-ever levels, leaving shopkeepers in difficulty. We have seen theft from the person going up by 5% and sexual offences going up by 9%. And if it isn't enough to see all of these crime types surging under this Labour government, senior police officers are warning that they face a funding crisis. Indeed, the chief constables of our four largest forces, Merseyside, the West Midlands, Greater Manchester and the Metropolitan Police, all said publicly just a few months ago that they face a funding crisis under this Labour government. So it's clear, Mr Speaker, this government is failing on police and crime, falling police numbers, increasing crime and a funding crisis. And yet the Police Minister comes to us today with some minor tinkering around the edges. Now, they say that they want to transfer PCC powers to mayors where they exist and where the territories are coterminous. Broadly speaking, that is the approach the previous government took. In fact, I recall transferring, I think it was one of the Yorkshire forces, into the mayoral model around about a year or so ago. She does, however, assert that the mayoral model is superior to regular police and crime commissioners. I wonder what evidence she can produce to support that, because the biggest police and crime commissioner in the country, of course, is the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who is also the worst PCC in the country, in my view. Knife crime up 86% under Sadiq Khan, the lowest clear-up rate of any force in the country, a lamentable 4.7%. He has closed down half the front counters in London, and police numbers are plummeting. So I wonder where she gets her assertion from. And then in terms of the areas that are outside mayoralties, she proposes essentially abolishing PCCs and replacing them with some kind of committee comprised of local councillors. Will those have the same powers as police and crime commissioners? Impliedly, they will. And if that is the case, it won't really save any money other than the election and the police and crime panel, which are very, very small costs. So as far as I can see, this won't really save any money, but what it will do is remove a directly elected public official, the Police and Crime Commissioner, who is accountable to the public and would certainly be more visible than some kind of faceless committee of local bureaucrats. So I must say to the Police Minister, I do think that is a retrograde step. But Madam Deputy Speaker, this government essentially in their announcement today is tinkering around the edges. They are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, while crimes like shoplifting rocket, while police numbers fall, and while the police face a funding crisis made in the Home Office.
Minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm not sure if the Shadow Home Secretary is in favour of this announcement or not. It's not entirely clear. Perhaps he could come back to us when he's made up his mind. Several questions that he raised that I am very happy to come back on. He asked when the white paper on police reform will be coming out. It will be this year, I can assure him of that. We have been working with local police chiefs and with police and crime commissioners and the staff associations on what that reform looks like, and we are making the final changes to what our reform agenda will be. As a former Minister in the Home Office, the Shadow Home Secretary will know that there are many improvements that we need to make around performance, around accountability, around technology, and around the structures where we have 86 decision makers across the country who are ensuring basically that there is huge inefficiencies in the system whilst performance and productivity is not rising as fast as it should be. So there will be a significant white paper that we will bring out before the end of the year. I can assure him of that. We wanted to make the announcement today around police and crime commissioners so that we can continue to work in good faith with those police and crime commissioners as we finalise our reform programme, and it was the right thing to do that we told them as soon as we could, and I spoke to them this morning at some length, and we'll be speaking to them again, not least at their conference next week. The Shadow Home Secretary speaks of crime rates. I don't have to remind the House of his record and the former government's record when they were in office. They cut 20,000 police, recruited 20,000 police, so we now have a police workforce which is very new. Large quantities of our police workforce have only been in post for a couple of years. With the recruitment that they did in the latter end of their period in government, prosecution rates didn't improve. The system is so unproductive and so inefficient and so badly managed that we have huge reform that we need to put into place. We have been making progress since we came into government. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were able to announce that 18% fall in knife murders, for example, 60,000 knives off the streets since we came to power, 5% fall in knife crime. We are surging our neighbourhood policing capacity, which we know was absolutely decimated under the previous government. We will have 3,000 extra police in our neighbourhoods by next April. He asked questions about the evidence on mayoral success. I suggest he talks to the mayors and the deputy mayors responsible for police and crime. The ability of a structure with a mayoral system and all of the public services underneath it to work together more collaboratively and more effectively is clear to see. So I would encourage him to talk to those mayors and deputy mayors to have a look for himself. He asked if powers will transfer to the new models they were. The new model will not be a faceless committee of local bureaucrats. They will be the leaders of the councils and a senior police and crime lead who will drive the day-to-day work. Accountability will still be there. The statutory responsibilities will still be there. This is now an opportunity for us to work together across local government and with other partners to make sure we drive the best system that we can. Saving £100 million, I think, is quite substantial and not tinkering round the edges as he suggests. But what I would say to him is if he could wait a few more weeks, he will see the reform agenda that the Home Secretary is designing in its totality, and it will put policing on a much better footing than he left it.